Hello everyone, I am Anita Ochai and you are welcome to 0 to 100. It's really nice having you here. So we will be starting off with a very interesting conversation. I have Edidiong Willie with me. Edidiong, please say hi.
Hello everyone. Hi.
Okay, he will be joining us to speak on life as a business. Before we move into that, can you please briefly introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Anita. I am Edidiong Willie. I am a process engineer and I'm the founder of LegendVille Energy. It's an energy company that is aimed at providing solutions to the power crisis and energy crisis in Africa. We're starting from Nigeria and hopefully we take over the continent and then the globe. And it's a pleasure to be here.
That's really beautiful. Big dreams, big dreams. So briefly, we'll be having a conversation on business. Some weeks back, I watched a video, and the highlights that a friend got from that video was life is a business. So I would like you to speak to people that have not really considered, okay, let me say people like me, because personally, I had not considered myself a business person until a friend literally pushed it out of my thoughts pattern, because it was always very easy for me to say I'm not a business person. So I would like you to briefly speak on that. Like, life is a business. How do people relate that with their daily activities? Like, talk to people that don't consider themselves business inclined or business oriented. So how would you inform them that, okay, the life you're living is actually a business, so whether you like it or not, you're a business person? So
Yes.
could you just speak could you speak to those people? Yeah.
Okay. Well, yes, you are right in the sense that people don't know that everyday activities are business related. We get down to the small detail of the day. A lot of people are afraid of business because they're afraid of marketing, they're afraid of sales, so they don't majorly do business in them. But what is business? Business essentially is value. You are giving value, you are sowing and reaping, you are putting, you're getting back, you're getting feedback as well, you're advertising that, you're talking about yourself, telling your story. You are doing things expecting something in return, expecting growth. All right. So if you are a student, for example, that's business. that alone is business. You are paying for knowledge. That's education. They are teaching you about becoming a better craftsman at something, any discipline. It could be engineering, it could be medicine, but they're teaching you to become a better craftsman. So you could sell yourself. So everything around our daily activities, everything is business related if you look at it.
Okay, thank you. When you put it that way, I would say it shines a little light on that area or that aspect of life, that okay, we are all business people. And while trying to figure out what questions to ask you, I realized that in a way this conversation aligned with DDK's Visioning 2025 boot camp that happened earlier it happened January at the beginning of the year. And she talked about business, telling us that, okay, businesses this year is going to be a year of entrepreneurship. People are going to come up with new ideas and nice ideas. So I would like you to speak on, where do people even start from? If you're telling me, okay, my life is a business and as I am, I can actually start a business, where do I start from? Like, how do I get to that point of, okay, figuring things out? So how do I gain clarity in that aspect of, okay, I want to start a business? So can you just speak on that?
First, your mind, you have to know that you are business oriented. If you had siblings, you would think back and remember you bargained with them at some point. Please don't tell mommy about it. Don't tell daddy. I'll do this for you. I'll do that. That's the business you get. So you have that in you already. What I would recommend is people having a background, a little basis of what they want to go into. For example, when I founded LegendVille Energy, I didn't found it on the basis of I have no idea about energy. My goal and my vision is to build Nigeria's energy sector. We are lacking a lot, and the worst part is we don't just realize how much to the degree that we're lacking. We don't realize what we're lacking and to the degree of how much we're lacking those things. And so I had to first of all enter the energy sector, you get, and see what is going on there and change it. I did that for about a year in the oil and gas, and I learned so much. I was truly flabbergasted. The problem that I thought I was going to solve, I realized that more than 100 times bigger than what I thought. Seeing these things firsthand, I got to find out this is a whole lot. This is not what I signed up for. This is a whole lot. And so when I had that basis, I knew how to come in. I was able to develop a strategy that now with this knowledge, I've attended conferences, I've gone to factories, I've gone to this, I've gone to plants, I have done this work, I've seen what the problems are that more real than what I thought before. How can I now address this? I was able to strategize. So I wouldn't really say start blindly. I would say gather knowledge on what you want to go into. Like I'll just give one example before I hand over to you again. When the first product I wanted to put out with LegendVille Energy, because we're in phase 1, and in this phase 1 we are putting out a service. So that service is we are upgrading people's generators to run on gas. That's LPG. And it is not just something that I'll say, oh, who knows how to do this? And I'll just bring someone and say, come and be doing it. I had to first of all learn it myself before I was able to talk to um, investors. For me to convince them, I needed to have knowledge. So I found myself, I studied chemical engineering by the way, but I found myself calculating how much energy is in 1 liter of fuel, how much energy is in 1 kg of gas. Doing those calculations, it took about a week that on the strength and the basis of that knowledge, I was able to gather courage and call people. Hello, this is what I'm offering. I was talking to some people, funds able to come in and do it. So I would say start from the basis. What do you need to know that you don't know about? Learn more about your niche before you jump in. Learning more will give you the clarity and help you strategize better.
Okay, thank you very much. So, like a major step that they can take in gaining clarity is they should undergo trainings, they should put themselves in that space so they would understand at least to an extent what is going on, so they will know the problem they are solving. That's really nice. Thank you. Okay, so the energy space is a very populated field. It's
Yeah.
populated because we have oil and gas. We have people coming up with different sustainable energy sources. And also, how would you like speak to people that want to start something from scratch in a populated space? So we are going to move to an unpopulated space, but let's speak to the
All right.
populated space, like people that, for example, want to come into the energy industry that is really populated. Like, what advice would you give them? Yeah.
I would say find out how you stand out.
Okay.
Find what
Oh,
makes
that's nice.
if you just jump in, lose and nothing, you are everywhere, nobody will easily notice you. But when you become very good at something, someone gave me that advice. Someone saw me and asked me, what do you do? You get to introduce myself. I said, hi, I'm Edidiong Willie, I'm a process engineer. After all my long talk, he asked me, what do you do? He wanted me to point out one particular thing. So he gave examples. He pointed at someone. He said, this person is an automation engineer. The person specializes in this and this. So what is my specialization? So I would say if someone needs to stand out, pick something, learn it well. One thing I've learned from um, reading about, listening to, and studying the billionaires in the world today, there is no single one of them, not a single one, that is not good at a particular thing. You can bring the particular thing you bring that they are the best at that than anyone. All right. So you see, Mark Zuckerberg was not just about money. He
Yeah.
knows tech. He was very good at tech. Each of them, Elon was one of the best students in his time. Jeff Bezos was one of the best students in his time, academically inclined, all of them. So they picked something, they focused on it, and they became known for that particular thing. So if you enter the oil and gas and everybody is saying, oh, you meet people that want to provide solutions, they want to provide solutions, they want to provide solutions, how do you come in? Then you find, if you talk about solar, there are some people that you can't talk about solar without mentioning their names because that is them. All right. So the same thing applies to every other sector. Just find out how you stand out.
Okay. So for the unpopulated sectors, the unpopulated spaces, like places where you're like, would this thing even, is it a marketable sector? Is this something that I would be able to yield good fruit from? So
Yeah.
what would you say to those people who feel like they're moving in blind? They don't even know what to expect.
Doing it right. That's the first thing I would say. If you are in an unpopulated sector and you're not having that feeling of asking these questions, am I doing the right and all of that, then something is wrong. So the fact that you're asking those questions are coming to your mind, then you are doing it right. You shouldn't, first of all, you shouldn't be agitated to moving with the crowd. You should be comfortable in the sense that your market space is unique. Not too many people are there. So you have the advantage to dominate that market. If you look at, I'll use Dangote as an example. When Dangote started, the things he's producing now, he was importing them before. He was importing pasta, he was importing sugar, he was importing all those things. And then, comparing to now, we have more importations now than then. Then people were not really importing the certain things he was importing. So after a while of importing it, he decided, let me begin to produce these things, and he began to produce them to the point that he dominated the market for cement, for sugar, for pasta, for macaroni, whatever it is. So if your niche or your market space or whatever is unpopulated, then you have an advantage. That's why I like Nigeria. I like Africa space. We are a developing nation,
Yeah.
meaning there are so many things that the market space is free for you. You know, people always say that the sky is wide enough for everybody. If you can fly, come up. You know, so it's available. You can dominate the market. That is even an opportunity. See it as your advantage and not your disadvantage.
Yeah, okay, that's really beautiful. Thank you. Speaking of Dangote, I even remembered Timilade Salami when she was talking about how she started climate change communication and that there was nothing like that. But she
Oh
just found
yeah.
out that there were two things that she could bring together. So it really is beautiful for you to have new ideas and you can still thrive in your space. So speaking to the people that I would say, well, maybe focusing on people that are moving into the unpopulated sector, how do you think they can overcome the thought of not being good enough to even start? Because as human beings, I feel human beings generally, we feel like we should have gotten to a certain level and we never get to that level. So
Yes.
we never actually start. So how would you speak to people that still believe they're not good enough, but they should put one foot out, like they have to put one foot in front of the other, they should start making moves? Could you speak to those people, yeah, on how they could get out of that space and still grow? While growing, they should be doing something like that. Yeah.
That's an amazing question. I think this question is linked to a little talk I did with the second director in my company when I spoke about fear. That fear is the reason why Africa has not grown to the extent which it should grow. You know, we are afraid of the inevitable, so we keep procrastinating. I'm not yet ready. It's not yet time because of we are
True.
afraid. And when you see the white people, the other developed countries, they don't let that fear stop them. They jump at it, even though sometimes they might do that stupidly. But they jump at it and they get the result they're supposed to get. Here in Africa, in Nigeria, there was a time where we were so scared. If a woman gives birth to two children, we don't understand why are two children coming out at once. And so they were killing twins. You get if they give birth to a child, the child falls sick. They don't understand. They say is it Obaji or what, and they'll kill. There's so many things because of our fear. But when you look at the people who have done great things in history, I gave you an example previously of Maria Curie,
Yeah.
who, even though she followed her passion, you get, even though it was something to be afraid of, she discovered radioactivity. She was a chemist, but till today she's respected by the world of physicists because she didn't succumb to fear. They call her the mother of radioactivity. And so, even though she died a painful death, her body disintegrating, everything coming out and whatnot, she developed that, and we have nuclear energy coming up today because of her discovery. So
Yeah.
here in Africa, you don't necessarily need to wait, or you can wait to get a substantial amount of knowledge. The reason why is because that knowledge you're going to get is going to be the confidence level. It's going to give you confidence that yes, I know this, yes, I know this, yes, I know this. And when you go up to speak to investors or to speak to, when I say investors, I don't really mean big people. It could be someone you know, your sibling, your cousin, your family member. When you go up to speak to them, they will have questions for you. So when you don't have the basis of knowledge to answer the questions that they will have, that's a problem. So not that you should wait countless years to discover heaven and earth, no. But once you've gotten a substantial amount of knowledge on the matter, you go into it. When you go into that substantial level of knowledge, you begin to learn more. While you are in the field doing and learning, and you begin to learn more, your eyes become open to many, many things. And in that process, you find a lot of billionaires today that I mentioned before. You can't point at something that they are not good at. They know their business more than you can't come and tell them how to do their business. They know it, body, heart, body, and soul. So you
Yeah.
need to know the basics, get into it, When you're moving in it, you will learn more and you study and know your business. It's an ever continuous learning process. So even if you want to learn to wait everything before you start, even when you start at that late period, you still find out that you are still learning. All right. So once you've gotten the basics, just start. Just start.
Okay, thank you. Speaking on fear of failure, that's something that I feel like we already anticipate failure, like you said earlier. So, how do you
Yeah.
think people should handle that? Because I don't think there's anybody that, okay, well, maybe there are people that have, but most people, before they get to the point where they establish something great, they have
Yeah.
encountered failure at some point in their life. There are people that you would find out that they've tried so many businesses before they hit the jackpot. So, like, how would you
Okay.
speak to people who are just moving into the business space with so much enthusiasm and they now hit rock bottom, or maybe they lose everything that they have, or
Wow.
they fail. Yes, long story short, they believed so much in their dream, but they failed and they don't think they can move from there. So, could you like speak to those people that have experienced failure and those that are even scared of experiencing it? So, yeah,
Those who have experienced the failure, I would say congratulations. That is a learning
thank
experience.
you very much. Thank you.
To those who are yet to experience failure, I really hope you fail fast and you fail soon, because you have to learn from it. You really have to learn from it. In my experience, I have a background in tech before just jumping into energy. I've shared how while growing up I did a lot of scary experiments. I was learning in those processes. So I felt a lot of times in my process of learning. Even back when I during my undergraduate days in university, I did a few businesses and stuff. Some worked, some failed. The first two totally failed, but but this stuff I continued till I'm at this point now. It transcended part beyond going through school. So even in my after school life, where I did a business where I was the sole entrepreneur as a freelancer, a 3D modeling artist, before migrating to become an engineer and then having my own company. So I failed many times and I was able to learn. So if you have failed, congratulations. What I would advise is that you learn from what you are doing. Learn from what you did, what made you fail particularly. Sometimes you didn't fail because it was tough. Sometimes you failed just because it was you. Maybe you let some emotions get to you. The market was bad and all of that and whatnot. So probably that's why you failed. Sometimes you failing might be a legit reason. Oh, as legit as the case may be, the thing is, once you fail, look for the reason why you fail. Learn from it so you can move on. And for those who are afraid of failing and have not failed yet, I would say I hope you fail so that that fear can leave you. So when you fail, eventually learn from that failure, and you know that every failure is a learning experience. Even with my company now, we are in phase one of our activities, and from this phase one, while we are following through on our plan, I have prepared on what should happen. What am I going to do? Should this not turn out as well? Should it not go right? What am I going to do? All right. So that's just what I would say as advice.
Thank you so much for those great points. We
Yeah.
need to learn the lessons from the failures. That's very important, and we have to try to move on from it. Like you said, don't stay on the
Yes.
ground. Yeah, you have to get up. So, confidence, because in the course of one of your responses, you mentioned confidence. Like, what advice can you give people that are trying to build their confidence?
Okay. So there are a couple things that build confidence. All right. One of those things is knowledge. All right. So having the right knowledge can boost your confidence. So as I mentioned before, going out to start talking to investors, hey, give me money, hey, give me money. I had to do my homework. I had to see what makes gas better than petrol. If I want to tell people to switch from petrol to gas, what makes gas better? All right. If I want to tell people let upgrade your generator, spend money on this thing, what makes it better? So I had to do my homework. I had to make my calculations because I knew that beyond even customers, when I speak to investors, it's a whole different game. You get they're going to ask questions of why they will do more interrogation than even the customers. So I gained knowledge on it, and that knowledge gave me the background to the basis to be able to ask and speak to investors. I give one more example. Like you're having examinations coming up. Once you've not read for that examination, you are all jittery. You get you're panicking. You can't, because you've not read. But once you've read, you get, even though you might still have examination tension, but you would have a degree of confidence that yes, I read this, I studied. Even if I failed, then I know I put in my best and all of that. So knowledge is one of the ways to boost confidence. Another way to boost confidence is by interacting with people. Your circle of friends that you have, talk to people, ask questions when you attend social gatherings like that. Find a way to once in a while be the spotlight. I recommend that. Not you might not be comfortable with the spotlight, but once in a while be the spotlight and get comfortable with being the spotlight. All right. So those are just, there are many other ways one can build confidence: reading books, listening to motivational speakers, and all of that. But your circle of friends is a very, very powerful way to also do that.
That's really beautiful. Thank you very, very much for that input. Shine out, be the spotlight. Yes, be the spotlight. I'm definitely holding on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to briefly read from, this is a note I took from the DDK's bootcamp that I mentioned earlier. So she was talking about ideas. So it says, the cry of humanity is great, and God is sending the cure for the cry of humanity. Humanity will be invaded by beams of brightness and streams of strategies, solutions, and secrets, so that uncommon ideas and insights will pour out continually into the minds that are cultivated. So I want to know, how do you suggest people bridge the gap between an idea and making it a reality? Because there are times that ideas just come, like this conversation that we're having now. It was an idea, like, okay,
Yeah.
let's have some startup owners speak about their journey so far and all. So how do you suggest people bridge that gap between having an idea and making it a reality?
All right. When ideas come to you, it's important to meditate on them. All right. When ideas come to you, they are not fully planned out. You don't just have an idea and it goes boom. This is how it's going to happen exactly. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Ideas come to you like snippets of imagination, inspirations. All right.
Yeah.
The Bible also says that there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty gives them understanding. So when they come to you, you usually have to meditate on it. As you meditate on this idea, you ponder on it, you think about it, it develops, it begins to grow, you begin to see the pictures more and more clearly. The more real that your idea becomes to you, the more daring you would be to take action. So you keep meditating on it. In my own case, it got to the point where it wakes me up from sleep. I would be sleeping and wake up 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Why is Nigeria like this? You know, I had so much passion to see that Nigeria develops, and the vision I wanted to use to accomplish that is develop our energy sector, all right, and also develop that of other African countries.
Yeah.
And so, because of that, I meditated on it severally. How can this happen? And that was in the period where the federal capital of Nigeria, that's Abuja, had a power outage for about 2 to 3 months. And
Yeah.
when it was restored before the end of the 2 to 3 months, the current was really low. You get, it was a very terrible time in terms of power. And when seeing the problem, being faced with the problem, and knowing that I'm an engineer, there must be something I can do to address this problem. What can I do to address this problem? So it would keep me up at night. I would wake up 2 a.m., stay up to 4 a.m., sometimes stay up to 5. What can I do? What is that? What is this? And when the idea started coming, it didn't come fully formed. As I was getting it, at some point I would write down, I would start calculating, started doing research, And when I chose to ignore it because I was like, this idea is too big. I can't do it because I got scared at some point. Am I sure I can do this? Am I sure I can do this idea? What if something goes wrong? What if I'm wrong about my calculations? What if this? What if that? You get, what if I go and say this and people can actually do research and find out that that's not the truth? This is what the truth is. And so many things like that. And when I chose to ignore it, especially after when I spoke to 4 investors, and I didn't get a positive response from them. Um, some kept procrastinating. They would love to see me. They love the idea. Let's meet in the office, but they never booked. They never give me an appointment. But they say let us meet in the office. Where's the office? I don't. They don't tell me. So it was really a circle. And when I got fed up and frustrated, and all that doubt came in, I decided to let it go. And to my greatest surprise, I couldn't sleep. I lost my sleep for about 3 days. You get it kept me up at night, and that was what pushed me. I said no, if I'm going to wait for someone else to do this, it's never going to get done. I have to do it. And I began to plan and strategize. What is the first step I should take? All right. So now I'm going straight into idea to reality now. You ask yourself the question, what is the first step you should take? What is the first thing I should do? All right. What's the first thing I need to do? And for me, the first thing was form a team. I needed to form a team of people, a team of people that I could trust, a team of people that I could work with. And I sold them the idea. I started reaching out to people one by one. I reached out to a friend of mine who I knew did law. I said, if I need something like this, I need legal advice. So I called my friend, please, this is the idea I have. I'm terrified. I don't know how to go about it. This is the vision. I called one more person for investment. I finally got the investor after speaking with him and selling the idea and everything. So when things started coming together, I started forming a team. That's just step number one. When you form a team, you have to share the vision with them. When you share the vision with them, you have to break down what are the things you guys need to do to get there. All right. Form your company, register your company, open your account, take the steps, do your marketing, put your product out there, put your service out there, come up with your marketing strategy. All right. How do you want to introduce yourself to the world? How do you want people to see you? So you break it down into small steps. It mustn't be one gigantic, enormous step you do that is just boom. No, break it down to small steps. If you are able to see the small steps and you do them and you add them all of them together, you will see a very large cumulative result from that.
Yeah. That's that's really beautiful. I would say one highlight for me from this conversation is solve a problem that is beyond you, like want to solve a problem or long to solve a problem. Yeah, that really is beautiful. Thank you so much. It has been really interesting having this conversation with you and getting to know a little bit about your journey and your company has been really interesting. I really appreciate your presence with us today. I bet it has been enlightening because I have learned a lot, a whole lot. So
Yeah,
I would like to say, okay, yeah, that's true. Before we end this, so the name of this channel is 0 to 100, and it is more of sharing people's experience of how they started from nothing and where they are. So I would like you to rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 100. Rate yourself. What do you at what point do you think you are right now? Yeah, on your journey.
on my journey, not on myself. All right.
Yeah.
So on my journey, on the scale of 0 to 100, I would say I would be at one. If I'm being realistic, I would say I would be at one. Between 0 and 100 on my whole journey, I would say I'm at one. The reason for that is uh, I most of the time I can't share the entire vision I have with people because as much as it sounds exciting, people can't handle it. And the head of my marketing team, he realized that he was telling me last week of a client that he once had previously, and he came up with a marketing plan and strategy for her, and he just told her everything, and she got overwhelmed. She said she can't do this, and she backed out. And so I told him that just gives you a snippet, a glimpse. But that's how it is with me. I can't. I always, but whatever I have to break everything down into phases: phase one, phase two, phase three, up until we have phase X or phase N, because the giving everybody this is what we're going to do. If I tell you what the latter is going to be, what the very first, people would find it very difficult to fathom. I can assure you, if that's Elon Musk, if we had told people we are going to be landing the rocket parts that are going to be helping the rockets fly, people wouldn't believe it. Again, he literally put his car in space. If there are some things that if you had told people way back that this is what you're going to do, they wouldn't believe. They get and so I have a very long journey ahead, a very, very long journey ahead. So I would say I'm at just the first point. I'm at the first mark.
Okay, I really admire your honesty. Thank you very much. And my next question was, what steps are you taking? But you have already highlighted you've highlighted most of the steps you're taking, and it's beautiful to know that you actually do have a dream. You know where you are going, and I feel like that is something that is very important for anybody that is starting something. Like, know your why. There's one time a
Yeah.
friend forced me, made me read the book, Start With Why. Lol, and it's very important to know your why, as that becomes your drive and your inspiration. And when you know your why, you're able to convince people. Like you already did, you can't even set up a team if you've not convinced yourself of what you are doing or why you want to do it. So you have spoken beautifully. I have learned a whole lot, but eventually I decided to start a business at some time from my journey. This is something I would really love to listen to. So thank you very, very much, Edidiong Willie, for joining
No,
us on 0 to 100. It's a pleasure having you.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. The pleasure being here.